All right, so just here to talk about one of my clients, Conrad, now that I've done the OPEX move, body and work with him. We've had our initial consult, just kind of talking through a little bit how I'm going to go forwards now and prescribe, and here are some of my noticings. So with his OPEX body, he has, everything looks pretty great. 13% body fat, 96 pounds and weight, 84 pounds of which is lean body mass. So sort of dealing with hopefully what would be a typical sort of adolescent young male, probably pretty close to hitting puberty. So some of the things based on his goals, he had kind of three of them. One was to get stronger, one was to increase his aerobic output, and the other, which I think the first two goals kind of will help with, he's very close to getting his black belt in karate. He's a brown belt right now, and that's going to be a fairly vigorous test in terms of the work required from him, and it's a whole day of showing off his kata and fighting and whatnot. So he wants to increase both those areas, strength and aerobic output. So based on his goals and his OPEX body assessment, he, no weight to lose, which is great. His OPEX work, he was able to put out 93 calories during the 10 minutes on the Concept 2 bike erg. It was a very consistent output. He had not been on the bike erg before, and sort of 10 minutes, he didn't really know what his power output should be. So I think he was a little bit conservative, but I like that. He didn't go out too fast and then have to slow down. He was just kind of very conservative. He got off the bike and he was feeling fine, a little bit of a sweat going, but not too out of breath. So I think that's something where when he gets to know his body a little bit better, having done more of the MAP 10 work and built up his aerobic system and whatnot, he'll have a better idea and understanding of what he can tolerate and push for next time he does that. But I thought that was a great first time on there. The OPEX move, pretty good. His squat, I think, was a part. I gave him a pass on that. Full depth, he kept his foot flat on the floor. His torso stayed inclined the entire time. He pushed his hips back first before he went down. The scratch test, he had some mobility issues. His upper arm was in line with his thorax. He didn't have to convolute his torso in order to manipulate it to get it there. But his arm going up and under was more going across his back rather than up his back, and he didn't have that shoulder mobility to access that position, which then came back in the reverse plank. He was having kind of just a little bit of difficulty bracing himself and really opening up his chest. His hips were up, but he kind of stayed kind of with his shoulders rounded a lot of for that test. That was kind of one thing that popped out during his OPEX move, as well as then the toe touch. He got maybe about halfway down his shins. He had a good sort of natural curve in the spine. His feet remained flat, his legs remained locked out. He just couldn't get any lower. We tried a couple of times without obviously trying to push it too much, and he got the same result every time. That then showed up in the single leg raise. He had a few manipulations to try and get that leg up further, like he kind of twisted the hip open to try and get the leg up a little bit more. And once we kind of asked him to, keep everything the same, neither ankle could get past the prone leg's knee. So again, that just showed same thing as the toe touch. Those hamstrings are really tight, maybe even some hip mobility issues in there as well. The plank he was able to hold for the minute. He was pretty well braced. He had good left to right symmetry. He wasn't kind of swaying around a whole bunch. He stayed kind of in that good line. His shoulder blades were as protracted as they needed to be for that plank. The reverse plank, I did pass him. He was able to hold that position for the 60 seconds. He wasn't able to make that complete straight line just because that shoulder mobility wouldn't allow him to open up his chest, but he did keep his hips up, and he wasn't kind of moving about trying to maintain position. And then the side planks, he really struggled both on maintaining the position, I think just balance wise, and then also that side core and shoulder stability just wasn't there on either side. He was trying all sorts of manipulations to try and get it there, and it was a handful of seconds before we kind of shut that one down. So everything based on that, the OPEX move, the OPEX work, the OPEX body, and his goals are great. You know, we're going to start off his aerobic work and just do a bunch of MAP 10, just really kind of get him going aerobically for longer periods of time, learning how to breathe, learning how to work, and I'm going to have him going on that during the accumulation phase for quite some time, just going back and forth between walking and jogging depending on where his MAP 10 is, and on the bike as well, and on the rower, and just trying to just work, you know, basically probably for something like 10 minutes at a time on each station, for the full hour, 40 minutes, something like that, depending on his time, and where he's at with that, his feedback on that. As far as resistance goes, I am going to start him on kind of an all-round inclusive program. He's obviously a complete beginner when it comes to that, so we're going to do high reps, time under tension, we'll do a lot of tempo work, low weight, and really just concentrate on the technique, and also just accumulating. So I think long-term and short-term, we're going to be working on an accumulation phase, just trying to probably put in, you know, some squats, some deadlifts, full body basically movements. I think we can do all 6 movements: push, pull, split leg, core, squat, lunge, all that kind of stuff, and hinge, all on the same days. As far as nutrition goes, it's not bad. A fair amount of processed carbohydrates, as per normal for, I think, a normal Western, almost teenage boy diet. I don't really want to dictate with macros or anything for his age and for where he's at. I just want to start promoting awareness for the different macro and micronutrient groups in his diet and what we're hoping, you know, to kind of look for. So I'm not going to tell him stop eating goldfish, stop eating bagels, but maybe consider that we want to put some quote unquote real food in there, you know, something grown, something killed, something harvested, and just kind of talk about the differences in the quantity and the quality of, say, vegetables or fruit, as opposed to like a handful of that and a handful of goldfish, and just kind of keep that conversation going. And so if you're going to have the goldfish, let's also try and get some real food in there first and beforehand. And if we're still hungry, then we'll also start talking about kind of portion sizes, rather than just having the whole gallon tub of goldfish available, you know, portioning that off into a smaller bowl, so we're not just mindlessly eating that. We've got kind of an understanding of portion control and things like that. We have started talking about sleep as well, and just he's about to move into 7th grade, I believe, about to turn 13 next spring. So a lot of things in terms of school, karate, extracurricular activities are going to start, homework are going to start really creeping in. So just making sure that he knows the importance of sleep, because he's about to hit those teenage years where I think, you know, they kind of want to stay up all night and then not wake up in the morning. So just to really talk about the benefits of sleep, how it can organize the mind, refresh the body, all that kind of stuff. That's where we grow, that's where we get stronger. So all the work that we're doing in the gym and the nutrients that we're eating during the day won't mean much if we're not getting the right amounts of sleep. So just starting with him, just to get the conversation going, get the awareness going. But yeah, in terms of actual moving in the gym to align with his goals, getting stronger, getting aerobically more fit, and being ready for his karate black belt test, doing resistance, again, depending on his school week, but at least 2 times a week, with MAP 10 work, 1 to 2 times a week, again, as his schedule allows. And then kind of doing an assessment again after an accumulation period, and seeing if we can get that toe touch better. You know, I'll start adding in also as part of his warm-up, you know, some kind of mobility exercises and things like that to try and help with the hamstring flexibility, and we'll see how we go from there.